Faith is persistent, but it's also forged in humility. Faith forged in humility allows God to define what we are without grace. It says, God, yes, Lord. When he calls you a dog, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. She was a Greek. She was a Canaanite. She was from Tyre. She was a Gentile. She was a woman. She was a sworn enemy. Every strike against her. And Jesus says, the mission first is for Israel. You're second. Get in line. Dog. And she responds. She doesn't cower away. She doesn't apologize for who she is or what she is or where she's come from. Her only cover letter is her desperate need for her child. And she is assertive, but she's humble when Jesus calls her a dog. You see, a lot of us don't want to let God define us for what we are. We don't want to allow God to define us for who we are. We don't say, yes, Lord. We say, Lord, aren't you being a little bit too strict on me? Lord, is that really what you mean? You really mean dog? You really mean my heart is desperate and wicked and beyond cure? You really mean I was sinful from birth? You really mean that you looked at humanity and you were sad that you ever made it? You really mean those things? The answer is yes, because God is holy and just, not just loving. He's perfectly just. He's perfectly holy. He's perfectly righteous. And when he sees sin, he calls it what it is, an abomination. And so we humbly come before the Lord. And we say, yes, that is what I am. That is what I am. Tim Keller calls this a rightless assertiveness, and it's foreign to us. We fight for our rights. That's what we are as Americans. We fight for our right to party, the 1980s. We fight for our right to, for the Constitution. We fight for our rights. And we look at everything in life as, I got to fight for my rights. I got to fight for what's owed me. And what the Bible tells us is you need to have before God a rightless assertiveness, knowing you don't have any rights, but coming before God anyway, because you know who he is. We say, like the woman said, give me what I don't deserve, not on the basis of my goodness, but on the basis of your goodness. The gospel tells us that we can't begin to guess the depth of our depravity, and that we are more loved and accepted than we ever dare imagined to be. Her humility allowed her to accept what she is without Jesus. Her humility, her faithful humility, allowed her to accept what she would become if Jesus would have her. She doesn't become so hopeless in herself and her sin that she believes God can't save her. That's where a lot of you are today. You know you're sinful. You know you've wrecked it. You know you've damaged your life. You know that you're there. You know that you're sinful. You know that you're a dog. When you hear that, you identify with this. You say, that's how I feel. That's what I am. And yet you don't come to God in faithful humility and persistent faith. But a persistent faith, a faithful humility says, I understand on those things. I believe God can still save me. I can't guess how far his love goes. Her humble and persistent faith did not earn her salvation, but it was a demonstration of the quality of her faith. She's echoing Psalm 51:17 here, where we're told the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. Oh God, you will not despise it. Or when Jesus said in Matthew 5:3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So do you allow God to define who you are without him? And that he wants to recreate you, not based on your potential, not based on the goodness of your heart, but on his grace alone. That's a humble faith. It requires a humble faith to say this: I am what you say that I am. You are who you say that you are. I want you to make me what you want me to be.